There is one specific technique that I teach all my patients, actually based on my own experience, moving through some very, very challenging windows in my individuation and actualization process, becoming an adult woman. And this technique involves how to relate to very intense emotions, right? Whether it's shame or fear or rage. It could even be an intense emotional response to a chronic struggle. Right? There could be a moment where you just feel like you can't take it anymore. And the technique essentially involves developing and cultivating, actually teasing apart your adult consciousness from your child self wounding and associated patterns, right? So when we feel intensely, it's because a wire has been tripped, right? Because of our inbuilt belief system about who we are and what about us is likable and lovable and what about us is not, what we need to hide essentially. A wire has been tripped, right? And you'll know that your wire's been tripped because you'll feel like your heart racing or like a kind of hot flash, or you'll feel, which is the case for me, I don't often feel those things. I actually just feel an urgency to communicate something or do something about a situation, typically an interpersonal situation, but it's like it can't wait. It's an urgent email I have to send, or an urgent text I have to send, or an urgent thing I have to say or communicate. And that's what allows me to feel in control of a situation when if I did nothing, the emotions that would come up, the pain or fear, let's say, of rejection or abandonment, would be so intense that I wouldn't imagine I could handle it, right? So part of this process and technique, so to speak, is when that does come up, to turn towards it. Literally, I like to imagine it like you're turning towards a small, same gendered child who is experiencing the emotion that is there in the room, right? So they are the one that's afraid or ashamed, let's say. And how would you relate to that child? How would you comfort her, right? I might turn towards her and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. It's so painful and intense. How long have you been feeling this way? And, it's just kind of that rudimentary, basic conversation that serves to acknowledge that emotion and that it's in the room, right, so to speak. You turn towards it. And fundamentally, if you're dialoguing with it, then there is a you-ness that is not it. It's the you-ness that's watching it, that is being with it, right? That's acknowledging it. And so that you-ness is your adult consciousness. And your adult consciousness is fundamentally, at this stage in your life, if you're watching this video, is fundamentally able to handle it. Because odds are, whatever you're reacting to is not actually a real-time phenomenon with that valence, right? The energy is coming from old patterning, right? Old stuff that you're bringing to bear in the situation, because if you lined up 5 people, maybe one would have that reaction and the other 4 would be like, whatever, right? So the energy that you're bringing to it is from your history. So if we can tease apart your adult consciousness says, it's okay, I've got this. I've got this. And I am here essentially to learn to parent the parts of me that are so wounded that they have developed this elaborate defensive system to simply keep me from feeling that wound, right? And so it's a practice. So every time you feel triggered, every time you feel that intense emotional wave, you sit with it, you turn towards it, and you develop a very basic acknowledgement-oriented dialogue with it that is caring and compassionate. And ultimately, you'll be able to do this in real time so that in the moment that you're most triggered, you'll be able to relate. My child self is kind of down here on the right. That's where I always imagine her. And you'll be able to relate to your history from a place of personal authority in the present. And that is how you liberate yourself from the minefield of fear and pain inducing interactions that life can sometimes become.